Hello and welcome to the Gazette's Her Women of Achievement Honoree Spotlight. I'm your host, Katie Giorgio, and with me today is our Her honoree, Dr. Shiny Mathewkutty. She is an interventional cardiologist with Mercy Medical Center here in Cedar Rapids. Thank you so much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure joining you.
Thank you. So tell us what it means to be an interventional cardiologist. I'm sure no day is the same, but what does your work entail?
So as an interventional cardiologist, we take care of patients that come in with heart attacks or heart-related condition. And specifically, the interventional part comes in when people are having heart attacks and they need stents or they need procedures, kind of to help save their lives, but also when they're just not feeling the greatest. So you're right, no day is the same, but that's kind of what keeps my work exciting. So I enjoy taking care of people, and that's kind of what the work entails.
I'm going to have you talk a little bit about your passions. And one of the things I read in your bio is that there are not a lot of women in particular that are in this field. So talk a little bit about what makes you passionate about your work and connecting other women to this work.
Sure. So one of the unique things about interventional cardiology is that because we deal with heart attacks, those can happen at any time. It involves being on call 24/7, sometimes multiple days at a time. So that takes a lot of commitment as far as families concerned. And for women in particular, I think it matters because a lot of times women end up in the caregiver role. So if you have families and kids, it's harder to give that time commitment to do 24/7 to your job. And I think that's one of the reasons why women are reluctant to join fields like this. I am drawn towards the field, not just because of how much gratifying it is to just go and help people, because you see the difference. You see someone who's just not doing well, and within a matter of minutes, they feel great. So I enjoy the care that we give. And yes, it involves a lot of work with staying up overnight and sacrificing some of your family life. But I think there's a way to make that dynamic work. So for the females who are interested in interventional cardiology, I would say don't let not having a family life deter you from going into this field, because there are ways to kind of find that work-life balance. And in my field right now, when I started, there were less than 2% females. Now it's less than 5% females. So at least there is some progress. Yes, it's not a lot, but there's some progress. The other thing that deters females from going into this field is we deal with radiation. So when we are in the room taking care of patients, there's exposure to radiation. And there's some concern that when you're pregnant, you don't want to expose your fetus to the radiation. The good thing is that I was pregnant with all three of my kids in the cath lab, did it all. The kids are doing great, thankfully. So it is doable. And I think part of it is just like figuring out what the norm is, that this is something that can be achieved. And there are ways to make it work for you, regardless of your gender.
That's wonderful. What is some advice you would offer to women just in general who are looking to make an impact in the community, whether that's through their career or volunteer work or with their own family? What advice would you offer, something that you've learned throughout your career?
So one of the things that I've learned is a lot of times we, as people, I think we put ourselves in categories or we put ourselves in boxes, and we feel like there are lines and there are boundaries and we cannot cross them. So the advice I would give to females is, if there is something that you're passionate about, but you feel like there are reasons why you cannot achieve them, you need to ask yourself again, is that truly the case? If nothing else, I think if we just step outside our comfort zone and just question what those lines are, oftentimes I find that the lines are not there, that they're created by us. And so I find that it may not be comfortable, but if you ask those difficult questions, there are times that you can break those boundaries and march forward. And I've done that in my own little way, but I think there are a lot of ways that we as women in this community can keep pushing forward and stop these lines that we've created for ourselves.
That's really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for being with us today. And thank you to all our viewers for helping us celebrate our 2022 Her Women of Achievement. For all of our 2022 Her honoree interviews, you can go to www.her.today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.